I'm going to hand our site as are the other two informational seminars already shared. So just look on the AP intranet. Maybe Deborah, you could put the link in the chat box for people and they can watch the other two seminars.
Yeah.
So. And I'll make an announcement now, but I'll make it at the end as well. Next week, we're doing two sessions on teleworking. And so I'll properly talk about it at the end of the session. But please let your colleagues know we're going to be talking about teleworking. We're going to be talking about the paper that was done by the working group. And we're going to have two sessions because we'd like to be able to have it at 10 a.m. and at 1600 so that we can capture the different time zones. So we're going to do it next week. I'll give you the dates later, so keep you hanging. Something to look forward to. Sasha, I'm going to hand over to you. So please welcome everyone. We're doing this informational workshop on insurance products that we can get through FAO. And so we're going to hand over to the Social Security people who also, by the way, look after all the stuff around your pensions. So we did the pensions discussion and it's on our website. So please look on the internet and look at our website. If you have any questions about pension, this is the crew you need to talk to as well. So I'm going to hand over to Shasha Yu, whom I know and I love, and she's fantastic. And she and her team are going to run this program for us. Remember to put your questions in the chat as we go along. I suggest that they finish their presentation and then answer questions at the end. So put all your questions in the chat. We'll read them out and we'll also send written answers to each question as we've done with each session. So even if you forget the answers, like me, if you're losing your mind as you get older, you can always go back and read up on it. So I'm going to hand over to Shasha. Please, Shasha, over to you and your team. Let's begin.
Thank you so much, Razi. Thank you so much, colleagues, for giving us the opportunity to meet with all of you directly, and then also to present you some of the medical insurance or the other related HR-related insurance products that we have covered under by my team. And then you are covered under those schemes so that we give you a better understanding what is inside all those medical insurance plans, so that we all understand what is related, right? Related to our work, our contract with FAO, and how we can better understand our own entitlement benefit to better protect ourselves and to better inform our family members as needed as well. So I understood that you already have a pension session, a dedicated pension discussion. So we will not cover the pension related matter today, but as Wazi mentioned, feel free to write to us. And then in case you have any questions, and we are there to support you so that you can make any necessary informed decision, which is very important in my view. And also today, my name is Shasha Yu. I'm the Senior HR Officer in charge of Social Security in HR division based in Rome. Today, I have Ovidio and Zabib who work closely with me either in the medical insurance related matter or with the staff compensation and the MAPE. So I will give the floor to Ovidio and Zabib so that they can introduce themselves directly. Thank you, Ovidio, over to you.
Hello, my name, as Shasha said, is Ovidio Escudero, and I'm an HR officer in Social Security. And I support Shasha with the administration of the medical and life insurance plans offered by FAO to all employees. Thank you. Over to Zabib.
Good afternoon, colleagues, and happy to see you again. My name is Zabib, and I'm a HR officer responsible for handling the staff compensation, not actually the staff, the employee compensation plan on work-related incidents and also malicious insurance policy, which we'll be discussing today briefly at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ovidio Zabib. Ovidio, would you like to share the screen so that you can start the presentation right away?
Sure.
And feel free to write any questions. If you don't feel comfortable to write it publicly, you can write to us directly, and then, you know, we will pick up the most relevant to most of the audience today to answer those questions. In case we cannot answer them all within the time frame, we will provide the written response to Wazi, who will coordinate and understand. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Okay, and I would like also to thank AP-in-FAO for taking the initiative of organizing this informative session, because I think it's very important to promote awareness of the coverage that is offered to employees through the organization, that colleagues have a good understanding of what the organization offers to them. Today we are going to be focused on the plan that is offered for internationally recruited professional staff. And these plans are the basic medical insurance plan and the major medical insurance plans, BMIP and MMBP. This webinar this outreach is basically organized with the objectives of giving you some insights on the generic procedures and services provided by Cigna, that is the claims administrator since January 2021 for these two plans. And in case you have any individual cases, you can write to medical-insurance@fao.org, and we will review your case and address any issues that you may experience if necessary. So today we will see the medical plan, very broadly speaking, and some of the services provided by Cigna. So the basic medical insurance plan, BMIP, provides worldwide insurance for medical expenses that are normally covered at 80% of the expense for expenses that are medically necessary, reasonable, and customary. There is a yearly limit, which is very high. Usually we don't reach it. That is of $1 million or 1,040,000 euros. And on top of that, for those employees that are covered by the BMIP and their dependents, there is also the option of enrolling in the major medical benefit plan, MMBP. This is optional, and it covers the 80% of the out-of-pocket expenses, the 20% of the expenses that are not covered by the BMIP, with exceptions of those treatments that are covered by BMIP and that are subject to a ceiling, such as dental, optical, or physiotherapy treatments. As I mentioned before, the service provider for this plan at this moment since 2020 is Cigna International. In January 2023, we also negotiated with Cigna the introduction of a new benefit, that is the checkup benefit. Previously, checkups, preventive checkups were not covered. Since this year, they are covered, and they can be taken every 2 years. Are covered at 100% up to a maximum ceiling of $300 or euro per person, and it applies to persons age 18 and above. And it covers a large variety of tests, checkups. Cigna is also negotiating with some service providers, network service providers in Rome, some packages. Currently, we are in the process of closing the negotiations with some of the main in-network providers in Rome that are Mater Dei, Centro Diagnóstico Ostiense, Santo Volto, or Gemelli. And Cigna is also trying to expand in the same negotiations to other countries. We are starting from the regional offices in Chile and Bangkok. And the negotiations are ongoing. We will provide you with some more information, and the packages will be available as soon as possible also in the Cigna web pages. Now we will focus on what you will see in your personal web pages. If you once you receive the welcome package from Cigna, I would like to mention that for people who are new, if there are some newly recruited staff attending this presentation today, usually the welcome package is received after 30-40 days from the entry on duty, because the eligibility lists are sent to the insurance once every month after the payroll runs. So sometimes they are a little bit delayed, but just rest assured that your coverage starts on the first day of your entry on duty. Once you have received your welcome package and you manage to access your Cigna pages, you will be able to find some useful information. You can find information about what your plan covers in detail, so all the different treatments that are covered, at what percentage, and which are the limits that would apply in case of treatments with ceilings, such as dental, physiotherapy, etc. You will also have a tool to find providers in the city or in the duty station where you are based. You will be able to track and submit your claims and to contact Cigna free of charge through the web pages. The same services are provided if you download the Cigna Health Benefits app in your telephone. Cigna has two different apps. The one that would be useful to submit your claims, track your claims, and find providers will be the Cigna Health Benefits app. In addition to that app, Cigna has another app that is the Cigna Wellbeing app, and that would provide you with access to teleconsultations and also to the employee assistance program that we will be reviewing in a few seconds. As part of the services provided by Cigna, we have negotiated at the inception of the contract the telehealth services. That allows any BMIP MMBP participant to talk to a doctor anytime and from anywhere. So it is very useful in high-risk locations or in locations where access to Medicare care is not easy. And also in case you just have like a first line approach to medical care. If you have some flu symptoms or you need to see a doctor for your child, this could also provide you with a very useful tool. And you can have a consultation with a licensed doctor online via secure video or phone conversations, and it applies to non-emergency health issues. This could allow you also to avoid some queues, and it could save you also some money because it's completely free of charge. You can download it if you have iOS or Apple phone, excuse me. As I mentioned, through the telehealth services, you can have video and phone conversations. You can have a diagnosis for non-emergency health issues, pediatric care. You can also get some prescription for common health issues that are mostly accepted in most countries, but it would depend on the country. You can also treat conditions that are not severe, like fever, rash, pain, and have some first advice from a doctor that could also direct you to a specialist for having a deeper consultation or examination in case they consider it necessary. And you can also discuss with them and have a second view on a medication plan or potential side effects if you, for example, would like to have another advice from another doctor, not only your treating physician. And in case you approach them and that doctor provides you with a sick leave note, please note that those sick leave notes provided by Cigna telehealth doctors are accepted by the health services of FAO, up to 3 days of sick leave. Now we will focus on the Cigna International Employee Assistance Program. This is a pilot that was launched on the 1st of October 2022 and has 1 year duration until 30th September 2023. This program provides, on addition of the services that FAO provides through the health services for counseling, through the counselors for counseling service on mental health if you need some support. This provides an additional tool, an additional service, is completely free of charge for the participant, and it can give you an additional assistance in case you think it necessary. In the last few years, we have been bombarded with with a lot of unexpected events. We have gone through a pandemic that has lasted more than 2 years with social isolation, and some of us have experienced some mental health issues, some stress, burnout because of the way we were like not being able to do our life in the way we used to have them. Right now, we are also faced with some monetary worries due to the high inflation that we have also some increases in our mortgage fees, and also there are some geopolitical tensions that is a cause of anxiety for us. In some researches, it has been noticed that 1 out of 2 people experience mental health conditions in their lifetime. 1 out of 5 may have mental health conditions at a given point in time in their lives. And of these people, less than half are diagnosed or receive adequate treatment for these mental issues. These mental issues may range from stress and anxiety, feeling overwhelmed or with feelings of anger, being nervous, and maybe releasing these feelings with the people who are close to us, our families, our colleagues. Also burnt out may be an effect of this anxiety, of this stress that we are faced with. And it can bring us to a state of physical and emotional exhaustion. And we can also feel languishing with apathy, low energy, not feeling motivated, and not being present. In the worst case scenario, some of us can also experience depression. And also we may end up with experiencing feelings and thoughts of suicide, at the worst scenario. This program can provide us with some additional support, and it can be very useful for colleagues who are in high-risk locations where access to mental care can be challenging, and not easy to find. And this program can provide us with 24/7 access to professional counselors, and that can support us. It has no cost and is available globally in a large variety of languages. The services provided by this program can go from in 3 different types of services, from counseling services that provides you on-the-moment support on the telephone, and short-term counseling by video or face-to-face in certain locations. This face-to-face would not be available everywhere, but in many locations it would be. You could also have access to behavioral coaching, and this provides you with support on raising awareness on mindfulness via telephone, and also online telephone and email support. And also you can access some support with the practical needs in case of critical accident, and personal support in case of an emergency is needed. You can also have a chat, and you can also have access to a program in which you would have 6 sessions of psychological assistance for different types of psychological need. It can range from parental counseling to problems in the workplace. There is a large variety. You can have some additional information if you go to the FAO handbook dedicated to the medical insurance plans. You can also have more details if you access the Cigna web pages. And also in the Social Security web pages, you can have a large variety of information. We also had several webinars facilitated by Cigna, in which you have detailed information on the different programs that I just briefly mentioned to you. There is a lot of material that you can consult. And I will go back some slides, because in this slide you have the QR codes from which you can easily download the Cigna apps that could provide you with access to the services that I just presented. Now we will move to the GLADI plan. And the GLADI plan is a group life, accident, and disability insurance. The GLADI is a voluntary plan. It's optional and is provided by FAO to eligible employees. The GLADI plan has recently been open to NSHR employees, but today we will be focusing mainly on how the plan's available for staff members. I would also give you the GLADI in the context of self-preparedness, because I think that sometimes it's difficult for us to think about health in life insurance when you are young and healthy, because it may not be your priority at this moment. We have so many thoughts, so many things to think about, so many concerns, but we never think that maybe in a few years' time, our health condition will not be the same. And if anything unexpected happened to us, what could happen to the ones left behind? Having the experience in working in Social Security, sometimes we are faced and exposed to some very tragic events. And this opens our eyes to see how important it is to be well prepared and for the unexpected, and to leave some support to the ones that we leave behind, to our loved ones, and to provide them with some financial security. As I mentioned, the GLADI is an independent and voluntary option, but it would provide you a stability and quiet of mind, peace of mind by supporting your family in case you are not there for them. It provides worldwide coverage in the event of death. It provides coverage for death for any cause, including suicide, that many life insurance don't do. And also in case of permanent disability, depending on the plans that you wish to enroll. As I mentioned, it is available to staff members and consultants holding a contract of 6 months or more. And it is especially beneficial for sole breadwinners in a household. So if you are the main breadwinner and the financial support in your family is mainly on your shoulders, I think that is GLADI would provide you with a good tool to have some peace of mind and to understand that in case anything happened to you, your family would be at least supported financially. The GLADI offers a variety of plans to which you can enroll depending on your personal needs. As I mentioned, it has been recently open to NSHR colleagues. The cost of this life insurance is really competitive if compared to similar products that are offered by other UN agencies and even in the outside market. And you can choose the level of coverage depending on your pensionable remuneration. You can decide how many times you cover your pensionable remuneration, and there is a maximum limit of $500,000. $500,000 is the maximum limit that you can cover. You can cover up to 4 times your pensionable remunerations. And the 4 plans that are available to staff members are the death from any cause plan. As I mentioned, this covers any type of death, regardless of the cause. And it is you can cover under this plan either yourself or also your spouse, if you decide to do that. And this coverage is subject to medical clearance. And it changes depending on your age bracket as well. We also have the accidental death and dismemberment plan. This would cover you in case of death due to an accident, or in case if you suffer a dismemberment as the cause of an accident. This plan applies either to a staff member, or if you decide to cover your spouse, you can also do it. And this plan is not subject to medical clearance. You can just enroll whenever you want. We also have the total permanent disability plan. This plan is only available to staff members. Spouses cannot enroll. It's subject to medical clearance, and it could only kick in case you are recognized disabled by the UNGSPF, and if you are on receipt of a disability benefit. In addition, we have the family plan. Under this plan, a staff member can subscribe, and if they subscribe, they would be the beneficiary, and the whole family would be covered. It could cover your spouse and your children up to the age of 21. The coverage and benefits are customized based on your pensionable remuneration. As I mentioned, you can multiply your pensionable remuneration, up to 4 times, from 1 up to 4 times, depending on what you think convenient according to your medical, to your personal needs. And the GLADI death from any cause also, the premium changes according to your age bracket. So the older you get, is slightly more expensive the premium would be. The life bracket, the age bracket changes every 5 years. In order to enroll, you would have to contact HR services through ServiceNow, and you would need to fill in ADM 23 and have it signed and witnessed. In case you would like to have some additional information and receive a customized calculation in order to understand how much would be the level of premium based on your pensionable remuneration, age, etc., you can write to us, to medical-insurance@fao.org, and we will be glad to provide you with a customized calculation. And you can find some additional information by checking the GLADI handbook that is available in FAO intranet, where you will have detailed information on how to proceed with enrollment, the level of coverage you can get, the different plans available, etc. And the premiums will be automatically deducted from your payroll slip once you enroll. You would be able to increase also the insurance amount in case you decide, after having enrolled in a few years after GLADI, if you think that you would like to increase the premium, you can do it after 12 months of the beginning of your coverage under GLADI. In case you would like to increase the premium for GLADI death from any cause, you would need to go through a medical clearance, and that we are now negotiating with Cigna. That will be a very straightforward process through a medical questionnaire, but that is still ongoing. And the premium will be adjusted automatically, also depending on changes on your pensionable remuneration. As you know, depending on the step, your pensionable remuneration may increase, or depending on your age, each time that you switch from one age bracket to another, the premium will be adjusted automatically. Once you separate from the organization, you would have the possibility of continuing in the GLADI after service coverage. It will be limited to participants who have contributed to the GLADI and death from any cause, or also called GLADI Life Plan. The duration of the after service coverage will be established based on the years of participation while in service. There are several limits. If you are interested, we can provide you with more details. And in order to request coverage for after service, you would need to send us an email to the medical-insurance@fao.org mailbox, and you will need to provide us with an updated designation of beneficiaries. In case of participation in GLADI after service, the premiums will be paid directly to the insurer and every 6 months. And this is all from my side. Now I will pass the floor to my colleague, Sebib.
Thank you, Oviedo. I think maybe we just pause slightly here, because I think I saw some of the questions. And I think it's important that you mentioned about the IEAP program that we just introduced, right, as a pilot for 1 year. And then that can really help the staff, whoever have the issues, and if they need to have someone to speak with them, it's available 24/7. I understood that no matter how much effort Dr. Nazars and his team can do, there's like a limitation in terms of working hours and etc. So I really urge all of the colleagues, or your members in the AP-in-FAO, try to use that services, because I personally use that services for several times, and for the first time I just want to know who picked up the phone, what was the speed of them, getting response to our phone call, and who are those people that we speak with, what are their qualifications, etc. So I would say I was very happy in terms of, the speed and the qualification. And also, by the time I called them, it was already a certified counselor who spoke with me last time. So that's because I was most of the time asking him the question of his qualifications, etc. So that I would say it's a very good product, and I really urge all of you to try your best and to see whether that would be helpful to you, as well as for the telehealth. So usually for me, instead of going to local doctors, that's probably in Italy, we may need to pay $80 or 80 euros, 90 euros to see a family doctors. I usually, if it's a very minor issue, I usually just use the telehealth doctors, which is free of charge, and they give me the prescriptions. And then, or in some cases, one time I got COVID when I was in Canada. Instead of spreading the virus and visiting the doctors, so I was able to just was able to see the doctors virtually, and then she was able to give me the the certificate of the sick leave, which has been pre-approved by FAO in terms of format and information. And then I was able to take the sick leaves under our our normal procedures. So those are the at one point I see the convenience, at the same time it's also financially beneficial to all of you. In terms of GLADI, I think Ovidio covered very well from her perspective, working in Social Security or Social Security, dealing with a lot of emergencies, crisis, right? The BIP. We talk about many security-related incidents in the decentralized offices. For example, me as the only child, we have only child policy when I was born in China, so I'm the only one, supporting my parents, and same with my husband. So for us to have that kind of peace of mind, and also we have a relatively young daughter. So if you have that kind of family structure, and if you do not have any other products, because first of all, life insurance or major illness insurance can also be purchased through the private insurance policies, right? So sometimes you got those private insurance where you have the cash value of those policies, etc., but you pay significantly higher premium throughout the year on the monthly basis, probably. But there are so many products available in the market. So I just want to use this as an opportunity to really urge all of you, or encourage all of you, to look from the other perspective. Now you have a quite stable job with FAO, you're doing what you like, and you have the relatively stable salaries, right, under the ICSC or the policy. But whether it's really resilient enough based on your needs of your families and the current situation, I really want maybe all of you to start to think about that. And then in case you really feel like you need a little bit better protections to your families or to your parents, whoever you loved, and maybe it's a moment, a good opportunity for you to contact us. And I know that Elena, who cannot be here today, but she is, basically have there is a calculator that's posted online. We put it under the FAO handbook, under the Social Security related topics, so that you can quickly run how much premium you would need to pay, etc. And then based on your understanding, you may want to contact us to get to know more about GLADI, and we are here to support you in that regard. Maybe Ovidio, then you can share the screen so that the BIP can maybe move on to MAPE discussion. I know it's a very short presentation as well. No?
Thank you, Shasha. Thank you, Ovidio, and thank you, colleagues. The topic I'm going to cover is on malicious insurance policy, which will be a short and brief, because there is another compensation plan actually that also covers staff members and other non-staff colleagues when they encounter with work-related incidents, which is not covered in today's presentation because it requires full-time dedicated for that topic. If there is a need, we can organize also a dedicated session for that topic. Today, we will cover only the Malicious Act insurance policy because it's part of the insurance policy that colleagues are covered. So what is it? It is a coverage for employees when they encounter days or permanent loss of function. It can be total or partial permanent disability caused by malicious act or war. So the definition of the malicious act is, as you can see on the slides, due to hostilities, revolution, rebellion, insurrection, riots, or civil commotion, sabotage, explosion of war weapons, terrorism, murder or assault or attempt of threat. This actually defines what a malicious act means. Also, the insurance covers permanent disabilities brought about by the chronic post-traumatic stress disorder caused by war, and malicious act is also covered. It covers these kinds of incidents. So the coverage under this policy is automatic for all eligible FAO personnel, and it applies on a 24-hour basis worldwide. Next slide, please, Olvido. Okay, so who are covered under the Malicious Act insurance policy? Basically, this insurance policy covers all staff members holding continuing and fixed term appointments, short-term appointees and short-term conference appointees, and other non-staff human resources, including consultants, PSA subscribers, national project personnel, both at national and the professional level, casual daily workers, and the interns are also covered. So the coverage does not extend to the family members of employees. So also the institutional contractors are not covered. So this coverage, like I mentioned, is automatic, and personnel are not required to enroll or to contribute anything as soon as they have a contractual agreement or relationship with the organization based on the type of contract that I briefly discussed a while ago. They're automatically covered under this insurance policy. Next slide. So what are the type of compensations under MAPE? So the first one is days. Days, like if an employee has passed away due to a malicious act, so the reimbursement is paid to the eligible family members, the surviving spouse or dependent children who are under age 21 at the time of the days of the colleague. So if the staff member get injured or has permanent loss of function, so the payment is paid to the staff member. And it also covers some medical expenses. Basically, the medical expenses are covered only for the out-of-pocket portion, because basically the medical expenses are covered under the medical insurance that Olvido just presented, but the out-of-pocket portion, which is a 20%, is covered under the MAPE, but up to a 10% benefit paid to the claimant, subject to a maximum of 10,000 USD. So the compensation paid under the Malicious Act insurance policy is lump sum, and the maximum compensation payable per person for days or permanent loss of function is up to a maximum of 500,000 USD, while the minimum is 50,000 USD. Next slide, Olvido, please. So the claim process. So there is a prerequisite condition to be eligible to claim under this insurance coverage, which is compliance with the security guidelines. So any claim, when it is claimed, one of the prerequisite conditions that is looked at is whether the staff member complied with the security guidelines or not. So this is a must for all staff members to ensure to comply with. So claims, if encounter with these kinds of incident, have to be submitted to Social Security, that's us, and we will coordinate the claims between the staff members and the insurer. So to ensure that the surviving family members or the injured colleagues are compensated according to the context of the policy. Next slide. Okay, so made for the beneficiaries, of course, like I mentioned earlier, if it is a case of days due to malicious act, one of the documents required is the designation of beneficiary. That's why we always encourage staff to always update their designation of beneficiary form whenever there are changes in our life, when we marry, remarry, when we get divorced, when you have new babies, or when we lose anybody, then we have to make sure that our designation of beneficiary form is up to date all the time, because this actually affects all the benefits and entitlements that we have. That is the document that the organization uses actually to process payments to your beloved ones. So if there is no surviving family, like no surviving spouse or no eligible dependent children, then the benefit actually goes to the state of the employee. So if in case of injury benefits, so of course the benefits is paid to the injured personnel. Next slide. Okay. So like I told you, this is a brief discussion on the policy. If you have any questions, please feel free to pose it, and we're here to respond. Thank you so much, and over to you, Shasha.
Thank you, Zabib. I think we have a couple of questions. I answered some of them. Maybe we can quickly answer a few about GLADI, Oviedo. I think people asked, I think some of it's related somehow. So people ask about, as a new participant for GLADI, I think basically we're talking about GLADI as a voluntary, right, medical group life insurance policy. So whenever you decide to participate, as long as you sign out the form, and then for the following payroll and we got the premium, you are covered. You're covered as a new participant from this perspective. And someone asked about whether it's open for the staff who transferred from the other UN system organizations or to the other system organizations. I would say if you are transferred to FAO, basically GLADI is open to you, so you can participate at any time. And if you're transferred to another agencies, I think it really depends on the arrangement of the interagency arrangement. And usually for the UN system organizations, they also have their group life insurance policies available in those organizations. But probably the premium might be different, the coverage might be different. So you really need to, that is a moment before your transfer, that is the moment you really need to look at the interagency, what they offered for all different perspectives. So that is something you really need to check, and whether you can participate in their group life insurance, whether there's any specific limitations, etc. So maybe their premium, usually for the UN system, we have, as Oviedo mentioned, we have almost I wouldn't say the best, but probably one of the best premium level in the entire system. I remember when I was in Nairobi, at that time, a few years ago, I paid more than what I'm paying for, for less coverage. So really our premium, I would say, is a really good, deal, even compared with the other RBAs, Rome-based agencies for the GLADI. I think someone asked about, the age limitations for the Cigna BMIP coverage for the children. So we already answered that question. Oviedo, did you, and someone asked about ASHI, ASMC, in terms of, the coverage, and they already mentioned. Do you want to comment on that, Oviedo?
Yes, I think I already replied. You can continue with after service medical coverage, but the continuation would depend on the years of contributions while you are actively employed. So if you have contributed to the medical plan, and we also, for the medical plans, we also recognize contributory periods that have been accumulated if you have been working with other UN agencies. If you contribute for at least 10 years and your age, and you separate after 55, you would be able to continue with after service medical coverage. If you contribute at least 20 years and you separate between 50 and 55, you would also be able to continue. If you don't reach those limits that I just mentioned, it would not be possible for you to continue with the after service.
Yeah, Zabib, in terms of MAPE, vis-a-vis with the service incurred injury and recognized the staff compensation, I know we don't want to get into details. Do you want to comment, especially about PTSD and how that's interlinked with other claim processes?
Okay. Yes, the two actually are separate processes, like I mentioned before, and the two claims are handled differently, separately, under different rules and regulations. So if, for example, the Malicious Act, the cause of the incident should not necessarily be related to work, but it can be like, it can happen at any time, 24/7, at anywhere in the world, as long as the employee has a contractual agreement with the organization and has the type of contracts that I mentioned before, then that is covered under MAPE. However, for the service incurred, there are certain award principles that the ACCC considers to determine whether there is a direct cause and effect relationship between the incident and the injury, illness, or days reported. So basically, the two are different, separate processes. So the claims are also should be submitted separately, per se. I see a question also related to the PTSD. Yes, of course, like for cases of total or permanent disability due to Malicious Act, there is a medical evaluation process to be taken by the qualified UN practitioner. So upon confirmation that the PSTD is due to the Malicious Act, then it's covered under the Malicious Act insurance policy. So there is always, in the case of total disability or partial permanent disability due to Malicious Act, there is a medical evaluation that precedes before the approval or the reimbursement of the related coverage under the MAIP. I hope this is clear.
Ovidio, I also see that people ask to put a link to the app of the, Cigna telehealth or well-being app. But Ovidio, maybe you could help us to do that. We will, of course, share the presentation after the outreach to Wazi, and I know that she will circulate it with all of you. And otherwise, as I mentioned, that in Social Security webpage, we did outreaches for different topics, different plans in more detailed, in a more detailed way and step by step in some cases. And you can look at those recordings accordingly. I wouldn't really get into details of a particular case, each of you, what is the age of, the years for eligibility for the ASMC, because usually if you are approach the normal retirement age or the retirement age, you will be approached by our learning team who runs the annual retirement seminar. That's over there. You will be able to know all the detailed information about ASMC, eligibility, after service, GLADI participation, pension, etc. So I wouldn't really, unless you have a personal questions that you really want to know, at this moment you can write to us and then we can get back to you. I also see that someone asked, can I choose several insurance plans? I'm not sure whether I understand your questions, but basically BMIP is mandatory as a FAO staff member based in the age duty stations or regardless of duty station if you are internationally recruited staff. So there's no choice that you can say, you know, I don't participate in BMIP. So BMIP is mandatory. For MMBP, as Ovidio mentioned, is 100% voluntary. It's really based on your medical need, and a lot of staff, if you have younger children, you know, if you have those particular medical treatment that is ongoing, we highly recommend you to participate in MMBP so that you can at least make sure that your out-of-pocket portion is really to the minimum level. GLADI, as we mentioned, is a voluntary plan. It's a group life insurance. It's a voluntary 100% paid by the participants. You can choose you want to participate or not. For MAPE plan, it's basically the organization paid and covered for all its eligible employees. There's no cost at your end. You are automatically covered when you have a contract with FAO, because as you see from the presentation, MAPE really covers those hardship duty stations, and many of you probably need to travel, etc. And it's not really a medical insurance plan. It's really to protect the UN staff while we are performing our official duties, or maybe even being present in those duty stations as a UN staff due to our assignments. So that is basically the purpose behind the MAPE, and then we already insured and paid regularly from the organization to insure all the eligible employees. So there's no additional cost, and I'm afraid you cannot choose not to participate for MAPE plan in this case. So basically that is the overall, you know, the overall about the medical insurance plan. I know MAPE is a quite sensitive topic, particularly in those level 3 duty stations those days. And as Bib mentioned and clarified, it's independent from service incurred process. And then sometimes some incident could be only eligible for MAPE, not service incurred. Sometimes both, sometimes the other way around. So it really depends on the circumstances. And usually for that type of security or critical incident event, we will be informed directly by security or by the divisions or from the decentralized offices, for sure that we will immediately trigger the reporting and liaise with the country office and the family to ensure that if you are eligible, you will get all the information you need. So that's the claim and everything. We usually follow from A to Z. So basically, we make sure the money will really transfer to the end beneficiary. I think, Ovidio, there's one thing before I hand over to you is about the beneficiary, designated beneficiary form. In different perspective, in this organization, I guess we have 3 or 4 different kind of beneficiary forms. One is we talk about FAO liabilities, and basically you sign the designated beneficiary form for all FAO related payments to you. So for example, if someone need to, it's not, you know, someone unfortunately passed away and we need to pay out the balance of the leave, the annual leave, and etc. all the other partial payment, last month's payment of the salary, etc. We will refer to the designated beneficiary form for FAO related liabilities. And there is a designated beneficiary form for the pension purpose, particularly. And then that is a different form that is posted. You can find it in the UNGSPF pension fund system. And then, as Ovidio mentioned about GLADI, because it's a voluntary program, etc. So there is also the beneficiary form you need to pay attention to. So there are many different perspectives, and one sentence is we highly recommend all the staff members to regularly update your designated beneficiary form whenever there is a life change, you know, kind of a change in your life event newborn, marriage, you know, divorce, etc. Because we, as we mentioned, we saw so many incidents and needed to coordinate with families, and sometimes we really found those outdated forms. And then a lot of things changed after 20 years, and then all of a sudden we have to inform the family that unfortunately we really have to respect what was signed available, unless you have a later dated form that can be verified, but whatever we have in our file, we need to respect that. So that is important. I think Ovidio, someone asked about whether it can be an institution as a beneficiary. Unfortunately, it cannot be. So it's need to be an individual. In case you really want to have an institution or charity organizations, I think that is part of your view that you need to really establish in advance. I don't know whether I missed anything, Ovidio, please.
Yes, I see also a question whether GLADI can cover secondary dependence. And now cover, and I don't know what exactly that person means, because under GLADI can be covered either yourself or your spouse for certain plans. But if you mean if your parents can be designated as your beneficiaries, in that case, yes, you can designate as your beneficiaries any physical person of your service, even if that person does not have dependency status or a legal linkage with you. You can, in any case, if you would like to designate as your beneficiary a friend, you can do it, any person. So that's free of choice. In order to update the designation of beneficiaries for the GLADI, if for example, you had designated someone and you have changed your mind and you would like to designate someone else, you need to contact HR services and provide them with the new designation of beneficiaries. It needs to be signed by you and witnessed by 2 colleagues, and send back to them, and that will be override the previous designation of beneficiaries that you had provided before. Yes, the beneficiaries usually are people, as Shasha mentioned.
Yeah, I think now I think what you mentioned about the pension, I think I just want to use this occasion, to benefit from this opportunity that your 2022 pension statement is now available now, and we highly recommend all of you to register if you not yet did so, to register to the member self-services under the pension fund system, so that you will log into your personal page. It's like a personal page of the pension related matter, so that you can look at the basic information, date of birth and names, etc., and look at the statement that was issued, probably not only in 2022 or maybe in the previous years, to re-verify the contributory period, especially if you transferred, you got some service, a contract break, coming back, and etc., etc. So you look at all the, data contributor services. In case there's any mistake or missing information, let us know as soon as possible, so that we can, rectify it in advance. Because sometimes we received colleagues who are really close to the retirement age, the normal retirement age, mandatory retirement age. All of a sudden, they realize that their date of birth was wrong, so that it's triggered a lot of a different perspective, and a lot of frustration during the last minute kind of thing, because you don't know which will be your, separation date, etc. So don't wait until the last 3 months to look at those matters. And then sometimes, it's important for you to look at the pension information, so that we make sure everything is in order, it's correct in the system.
Thank you very much, team. Are there any other burning questions for this team? Any issues that you would like them to cover? Anything you need clarification on? Please, you can put up your hands as well. If anybody has any questions, we have them. There's a question here. Can you provide more information on other eligible witnesses who are not FAO? I think it's beneficiaries, not witnesses. Is that correct, dear Sanu? Is it witnesses or beneficiaries?
It's witnesses, because I think there is FAO staff witnesses, and there may be possible witnesses who are not FAO members who are there.
Sasha, do you know what's being referred to here?
I don't think it's really I feel staff per se or staff member per se. So if it's a designated beneficiary forms, I think as long as you choose the two individuals who you know, who are reasonable, understanding what you want to do and sign, put their name and detailed information, the form are accepted by the HR services. So because this is not a particular FAO insurance matter, so it's really just a designated beneficiary form that you can find even today without contacting HR services. You can find from FAO intranet, and then you print out and make changes, whatever 50%, you know, you can do all those kind of proportion for individual, etc., and have it signed by the witnesses and then submitted to the HR services, and they will accept it. They will be accepting that document and overwriting the previous one.
Sorry, maybe one thing to note about witnesses is the witnesses cannot be beneficiaries. That's one thing to be noted.
Thank you very much. I hope that answers the question. Sasha, I'm just going to ask, sorry, dear Sanu, you had unmuted yourself. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's answered my question, because in the form it's mentioned that it could be public, notary public, a bank manager or deputy bank manager.
Yes, exactly. Sorry. In these cases, as it's a kind of illegal document, usually it is requested like the person who needs to witness needs to have some sort of authority. So if it's an FAO colleague, that is usually is the simplest way to have it witnessed, because and that person can guarantee on your behalf. Maybe you can ask a colleague in your office with whom you are, I mean, in good relationship, to just witness it and put the signature. Otherwise, we would usually require to have it witnessed by someone who has some sort of authority, and it could be a bank manager or also a notary.
Thank you so much, Ovido. I was going to ask Sasha, would one of you mind sharing your screens and showing people where they can go? Because I think you can enroll on GLADI in your GRMS, right? Or do you have to go to ServiceNow and ask one of you to do it for you? Or can you do it through your own self-service portal? Would you be able to show people where they can go? Because I know that a lot of people have problems navigating the system.
Ovido, would you like to share the screen and go to, you know, because for GLADI, I think
usually because I think that a self-service tool was introduced in GRMS, but it's not the preferred option. So the preferred option would be to raise a ticket through ServiceNow and request it to HR colleagues. And in a couple of days, they would come back to you and would provide you the advice and the procedure to follow.
Okay, that's great. So you heard it here, ServiceNow, raise a ticket, ask for the GLADI or which is something that you have to opt in for. Remember that BMIP you already covered, But GLADI and the disability and all this others, you have to opt in for. So you just raise a ticket through ServiceNow and ask for these services.
Yes, I just wrote down the email address of medical-insurance because we are there to support in case colleagues need to have any guidance. We can also provide them with the right advice and direct them to the, provide them with the details instructions on how they have to proceed. And for those who wish to get enrolled in GLADI, we would be happy to provide them with a customized calculation and taking into consideration the pensionable remuneration at the moment of the request, their age, so that, and my colleague Elena would be also happy to brief them, have a face-to-face discussion with them, guide them through the different plans and provide them some detailed advice so that they can take an informed decision.
Yeah. And on ServiceNow, there's a specific section for GLADI and these insurance products. So please, when you go on ServiceNow, I only discovered this the other day, by the way. When you go on ServiceNow, you have to scroll down on other or something like that and get the GLADI related, like service request. So I think we'll need like someone to guide us through. We'll get somebody from HR to do a practical example of how to use ServiceNow. Because it's also an extreme sport for those of us who were born before computers or BBC, as I was. So I think that's the issue. Are there any other questions? This is the chance to ask them. Please don't be shy. Also get hold of any of these colleagues. They're fantastic, by the way, and very responsive. So don't be shy, go and see them. When I got a divorce, I went straight to the pensions and said, oh my God, I have to change my designation of beneficiaries. I changed it on all my forms. I just updated my GLADI actually. I went and that's how I found out where to find the GLADI stuff. So please keep updating it. It's very important because we lose track of these things because usually you do it when you enter and then you forget. It's done. It's somewhere in the system. I know my GLADI's deducted, monthly on my salary slip, and I don't even think about it. So these are things you need to think about. Check all your designation of beneficiaries, especially if your status changes, married, separated, etc. Please check all of those. If there are no more questions, I am going to thank Sasha and her team. Thank you so much, ladies. This was fantastic. It's really, really, really informative. And then, as I was telling you, next week, Thursday at 10 a.m. and Friday at 1600, we are going to be discussing the flexible working arrangements position paper that we did as AP. So we would love to have as many people participate. Please invite colleagues who are also not necessarily AP members. We open all these discussions, not just to AP members, but to all staff. We will send round the link for this discussion to the people who attended, but we will also have it on the intranet. So please come to the flexible working arrangements discussion on Thursday and Friday. Thursday at 10. So Thursday the 25th.
Thursday for Wazi.
Sorry,
Thursday.
Thursday.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite. Okay. As I said, getting older. Thursday the 25th at 1600 and Friday the 27th at 10 a.m. Because we have the two sessions so that we can cover all the time zones. And we are going to have people who were in the flexible working arrangements working group, which was done by both AP-in-FAO and UGSS. So it's all the staff representative bodies. So please come, because remember the current policy expires on the 31st of July. And once it expires, we revert back to the policy pre-COVID. So we go back to the one that's in the administrative circular. So please, please, please come to that discussion where we really need for management to know that staff are concerned about the flexible working. And so we will be very happy to have you participate in that. So Michael has put the links in the chat. So copy them, put them into your calendars. We will be sending calendar invitations straight after the session. All the PowerPoints that you received from the ladies will be on our website, and they will all be shared as well and circulated. They've also got a great intranet page, or is it, I don't know which one it is, but the social services page is great. You can go there and get a lot of information. Alternatively, just send an email and ask questions. I send emails, you know, so and you get it from a person. So thank you very much to everybody who chose to participate. Please remember that these ladies are at your disposal. Please update all your forms. Make sure that you know your dependents. One of the things that Sven told us when we had the pensions discussion is that if your children are around 16, add them to the dependents form, because they may reach 21 without you even knowing it. So start to add them to the dependents form, because once they're over 21, they're no longer automatically your dependent. So add them when they turn 16 to all your dependency forms, so that they're there even if something happens when they're post minors, they can still receive a benefit from the organization. So I'd like to thank everyone who attended. We will have more of these sessions, and as was said, if we want a specific discrete session on the Malicious Act, is it the Malicious Act?
I think we talk about service incurred that we didn't really
service
cover.
incurred.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we will have a separate session on that for service incurred. I know it's a huge issue, so we will have a session for that in a few weeks. So please keep an eye out for that discussion. And thank you so much to everybody who attended, and see you at the next seminar next week, Thursday, 1600.
Thank you, Wadi. Thank you, colleagues. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everybody who checked in. It was fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.